Hello and welcome to In Conversation with Kashmir Times. The Ram Temple in Ayodhya will be inaugurated on January 22nd. The government, the BJP party and the RSS have virtually taken control of the celebrations, and there is country-wide hysteria that is being whipped up. Prime Minister Modi has called for the day to be celebrated as Diwali across the country. The temple is built at the exact spot where the 16th century Babri Mosque stood till December 6, 1992, when it was demolished by thousands of Hindu right-wing activists in a plural democratic India. In 2019, the Supreme Court gave its verdict allowing construction of Ram Temple at the site of Babri Mosque. Joining us today is Ziya-Us-Salam, author and journalist. His recent book, Being Muslim in Hindu India, was recently published. Welcome and thank you for coming here.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.
Several parties in the opposition have criticized the celebration as politicization of the Ram Temple by the BJP and the Hindu right wing for vote bank politics. Even some Hindu seers have declined the invitation and, called for, well, they've talked about this is not according to the Sanatan Dharma scriptures, but they've also called out the politicization by the BJP and said that the construction is not even complete. So do you think that criticism of turning this celebration into a political tamasha, is it fair?
It's not just fair, it's valid, but I'm afraid it has come many years too late because the Ram Temple controversy was never about religion. It was not exactly about the sensibilities of our Hindu brothers and sisters. It was more about politicization of religion. And now it has reached its peak. Right from 1949, December 22, 23 night, when the idols were smuggled into the mosque, on to 1986, 1990, 1992, and finally, as you said, 2019 Supreme Court judgment. Politics has taken over religion, and what Modi intends to do on January 22 is basically a continuation of the same thing. He has very little regard for what the seers, the Shankaracharyas, have been saying, and probably zero regard for what Nirmohi Akhada has said about the date of consecration and that the temple is incomplete and a new deity cannot be established in an incomplete temple. All that matters to him, to the BJP followers, to the blind bhakts, and to the average man on the streets of North India is that Modi has delivered the temple. Nothing else matters. Whatever the Congress might say, whatever any leaders might say, or the Shankaracharyas might say, the common man is not affected. He is a Modi bhakt. For him, Modi is a presiding deity who can do no wrong.
So there's a lot of mixing of politics and religion here.
Absolutely.
And this also means that the government is using and weaponizing religion and rather endorsing one religion over all the others. Is that fair in a democratic country?
There are very few things which are fair in India anymore. Majority in politics is the reality of the day. Otherwise, we would not have had this sad spectacle of bureaucrats being asked by a chief minister of a state to shower petals on pilgrims returning with Ganga water from Amarnath Yatra, and at the same time, police lodging complaint against a Muslim woman who was praying all by herself in a hospital, or on a Muslim man who was seen praying on a bench at the railway platform. We have reached such a pass where a Muslim cannot offer prayers at home and be certain that his prayer will be considered valid by the state. We had this very sorry spectacle in Ramzan in Moradabad last year in Western UP, where some people were offering special Taraweeh prayers of Ramzan, and they were booked by the police, even though the prayers were being held at private premises. Today, we have an avalanche of majoritarian politics across the country, where the minorities in general and Muslims in particular are at the receiving end. The state has made no secret of favoring one religion over another.
So is it only about favoring one religion over the other, or is there more that is problematic with the way the
It's
celebrations
basically
are
a
going? What does it
fulfillment
say?
of is fulfillment of M.S. Golwalkar's dream. What he said in the 30s that India belongs to those whose Punyabhu and Pitrubhu both are within the geographical confines of India. That is the sacred land as long and as well as the birthland are in India. And those whose birthplace is India, but whose sacred land lies outside the geographical boundaries of India, they can stay here at the sweet will of the majority community. They cannot ask for equal rights. They cannot ask for representation in parliament or government job. All that they can expect to do is just breathe in the same air as the majority community with no rights of equal citizenship. And this is exactly what this government has gone about doing right from the time it took over in 2014 and more clearly after 2019. We saw that changes to the Citizenship Amendment Act, what were they? They were just a fulfillment of Gulwalkar's dream that anybody who is a Hindu, who is a Sikh, a Buddhist, a Jain, or even a Christian can seek Indian citizenship from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh as long as he or she is not a Muslim. In other words, Muslims did not belong here. That othering of Muslims has been a continuous process since the time this government came to power in 2014. I'll ask you one counter question. There have been so many lynching instances right from September 28, 2015, when Akhlaq was lynched in Dadri, onto this year, right till early January this year, 2024, has the Prime Minister of India condemned any lynching incident where a
No,
Muslim has been killed by a mob? Has
not one.
any compensation been announced for any of the lynching victims? We are having this very unfair and very sorry, tragic tale where the victim's family has to move from that particular village or that particular town to another place to earn a living after losing a family member. Whereas the goons, the attackers, the accused of murder not only continue to stay in the same place, they are bold enough to upload their videos of the crime. Obviously, they are confident that they have their political masters who will take care of any consequence of their action. And their faith so far has been well placed.
Yes, they do seem very confident that they'll get away with whatever they do. And
Did
in
you
fact,
did
that
you see what happened in Jharkhand where the union minister Jayant Sinha was seen garlanding people who were released on bail after being convicted of lynching? Didn't we see our then union minister Mahesh Sharma going to Dadri to the family of Ravin Sisodia, who was one of the accused of Akhlaq's murder when Ravin Sisodia died in police custody? Our minister Mahesh Sharma went to his house and expressed sympathy with his family members and finally wrapped his body in a beloved tricolor. This is an honor reserved for those who die fighting for for the soil, for the land of India, not for a murder accused within the country. The message sought to be conveyed to rest of the country was the Muslims are the others here. If you kill a Muslim, you are considered a brave soldier of our motherland.
no, you quoted all these incidents. And coming back to the temple, which is a long-held agenda of the BJP and the RSS. Now, the temple is built at the very same place where a cataclysmic event took place on December 6, 1992, the demolition of the Babri Mosque, which fundamentally changed India's social and political landscape. Now, what does this symbolize for secular, plural, and democratic India? And what does it mean for the Muslims of India? And I'm just not just talking about the temple, but all the other incidents that you're talking about, the whole atmosphere, a gist of which you just presented.
See, as far as this Babri Masjid judgment is concerned, I'm personally very disappointed with the judgment because all the observations of the court were correct. The court found that the smuggling of idols into the Babri Masjid premises in 1949 on the night of December 22 and 23 was in contravention of law. The court also found the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992 an egregious violation of law, then went on to give the same plot of land to the attackers. How justified is that? And that kind of judgment shakes the faith of a person in judiciary. And you add with that all the recent admission of petitions against Gyanvapi, against Shahi Eidgah in Mathura. And the Muslims tend to feel that what he saw in Babri Masjid is being replayed over and over again in modern India. The court is not coming to the rescue of the community, even when all the facts are loaded in favor of the minority community.
Okay, let
We have
me.
the Act of 1991, Places of Worship Act, very much in place, which the Supreme Court itself quoted in the Babri Masjid judgment delivered in November 2019. But then within 7 months, court admitted petitions against Shahi Eidgah Masjid in Mathura and Gyanvapi Masjid. In both the cases, both these petitions were against the law and spirit of Act of 1991. Yet the Supreme Court was happy to admit those petitions. And now, when the Muslim community wanted a stay on the survey, it got no help from any level of judiciary, be it the Sessions Court or the High Court or the Supreme Court. Today, the average Muslim feels not just alienated or disappointed, and the biggest thing is today, he seems to be losing faith in the judiciary.
So it's fears that are being evoked for the Muslims, fears that another, instance like the Ram temple would come up in the face of maybe Mathura or Gyanvapi, or is that it, or is that
Every
also?
other day, we get to hear about some mosque being targeted by Hindutva gang, the right-wing people, be it in Allahabad, be it in Lucknow, be it in Badaयूं, or even in Delhi. In Delhi, during the Northeast Delhi violence, 19 places of worship, Muslim places of worship, were attacked. Some of them were reduced to ashes. Some mosques were only partly damaged. Did we see any condemnation from the Prime Minister? Or even any at any level from the judiciary when these cases went to judiciary? Even our opposition leaders have gone silent. Muslims are the new orphans in modern India.
So do the Muslims feel betrayed by the government or by the judiciary more?
I guess it has to be more with the judiciary because governments come and go. Our faith in judiciary has been unshakable all these years. There have been judgments which have gone in favor of one party or the other, and one takes it in stride because you cannot expect to win every case which goes to the court, and you have to respect the verdict of the court. But the faith is shaken when the court calls a particular act as a violation of law in 1949 and then again a violation of law in 1992, but then the judgment is quite very much at variance with that particular observation. For the common man, it's very difficult to digest. Maybe the legal eagles will be able to explain it better.
The Hindu right wing and the cheerleaders, they're pushing against all the criticism of politicization, and saying that anybody who's talking against that is anti-Ram Bhakt. And they're talking about a
They're also
universal,
calling him anti-national.
yes, of course, anti-national is their favorite. And they're also talking about the universal appeal of Lord Ram. Well, even Mahatma Gandhi had spoken about universality of Lord Ram and Ram Rajya. Is there a difference between what Gandhi said and what these guys are saying?
A world of difference. I don't think even a Muslim or any person from any community would object to Mahatma Gandhi's version of Ram Rajya. And probably any sensible person, irrespective of his faith, will object to the concept of Hindu Rashtra. Hindu Rashtra is based on exclusion, supremacy. Ram Rajya was supposed to take everybody along in a spirit of togetherness. It's as simple as that. And talking of worship of Ram, yes, Lord Ram is a hugely popular deity in India, as you would also agree. But having said that, Hinduism is not about the worship of one deity alone. A new kind of minimalism in faith is creeping in. You find the worship of Krishna not being celebrated the same way as the worship of Ram or even the worship of Shiva and so on. We had not seen something like that in the past. Even the basic greeting of the Hindu brothers and sisters has changed from Namaskar to Jai Shri Ram. In our childhood spent in Delhi, a common person going to temple in first thing in the morning would fold hands and say Namaskar. Some of them would say Ram Ram, others would say Jai Siya Ram. Now even Sita is not recalled as part of the greeting. Jai Shri Ram has become a new weapon to attack the minorities, and it's an assertion of identity, which is not necessarily a salutation today.
So what they're trying to actually project is not a pacifist Hinduism, but a more aggressive form of
Yeah,
hate
this
and
is basically a
immoralism.
distortion of what Hinduism stands for down the centuries. We have all read about Hinduism, we have lived with Hindus, and peacefully so, and we have respected each other. But we have not found this aggressive expression of Hindu identity in the past. You're not here, but if you were in India at the moment, you'll see many cars with the stickers of Hanuman. Hanuman all along was projected as part of Ram Darbar at the feet of Ram, Lakshman, and Sita with folded hands. Occasionally, he would be shown upright in certain photographs with his chest slit across and Ram's photo showing from the chest. Now, for the first time, Hanuman is being depicted in an angry avatar on all these cars, as if he is ready to kill. That is not the identity, that is not the characteristic of Hanuman we have grown up with. Again, this is more of a political message. Unfortunately, it seems to be at the cost of the real values of Hinduism.
The BJP's political revival has been pivoted around, this aggressive form of Hinduism. And it is at the core, it has been at the core of their struggle. But Congress and other secular parties, they've never unequivocally rejected this political struggle as antithetical to Indian democracy and pluralism. In other
It's
words,
because Congress has been
they
selectively
played,
secular.
they have been,
Congress has been selectively secular.
okay,
We can't
they've
forget what
kind of
happened
played,
when Rajiv Gandhi was there and how the
mhm.
Babri Masjid locks were open for Hindu worshippers. And just because there was this Shah Banu verdict of Supreme Court, which in his questionable wisdom he had overturned. So on the one side, he was playing to the Muslim clerics, the orthodox elements among the Muslims. On the other side, he was trying to play to the orthodox elements among Hindus. If those locks had not been opened in the 80s, probably we would not have had L.K. Advani having Rath Yatra, and we would not have had Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister in 2014. A lot of what has taken place in modern India has to be blamed on the Congress, though I won't absolve the BJP of its share.
Would you say that this glib talk by the Congress is more problematic than what the Hindu right-wing government is doing?
See,
Because the
Congress
Hindu
has to
right-wing,
take
we
a
know
stand.
they're doing what they're doing, and it's
BJP
pretty
has
open.
been clear that
Yes.
it stands for a certain section of the society and not the other sections, irrespective of the slogan of the Prime Minister. Their action at the ground level has been in tune with what their ideology is over the years. The Congress has been caught between the two stools basically. It wants to project itself as a secular party. At the same time, we had Rahul Gandhi indulging in temple hopping before 2019 elections and saying, I'm also a Brahmin and that kind of thing. After 2019, rather after 2014, Congress had this golden opportunity to stand up for the idea of India, to stand up for the ideals of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Instead of standing up for Jawaharlal Nehru and the idea of India, Congress unfortunately decided to soft pedal Hindutva. Instead of saying what Nehru did for industrialization of India through 5-year plans, through socialism, and so on, and taking everybody along with this concept of a welfare caring state. We had Kamal Nath taking credit for the demolition of Babri Masjid, for the opening of the gates of the masjid, for the installation of idols of Ram in Babri Masjid.
Yeah, some of
And
them are
there
still
was
doing it.
and there was not even a rap on the knuckles of Kamal Nath by the Congress leadership. So Congress has clearly forgotten Nehru.
Ideally, what should they have done? I mean, they did resume something like Bharat Jodo initially, but then they keep oscillating between that and the temple and,
Yeah, you said it all,
creating it.
oscillating. When you fail to take a decision, that is what happens. Congress failed to get the tag of the leader of the opposition in 2014 and in 2019. Unfortunately, it has not learnt its lessons at all. Even in Madhya Pradesh elections just about a month ago, what was Congress doing? Just being the B team of the BJP as far as the Hindutva discourse is concerned. If the common voter has the option of voting for actual, real, authentic Hindutva, why would he vote for the B team of Hindutva? Congress fails to realize it. And also, when Congress indulges in soft Hindutva, it is also underestimating the intelligence, the wisdom of common Hindus. It feels that if the Congress stands up for Muslims, or if it stands up even for the cause of justice, the common Hindu would jettison the party. I think it is just such an insult to our Hindu brothers because even today, the BJP hasn't got 40% of the votes in the country. It's for the Congress to capitalize on the other 60% rather than thinking, okay, we can also get this 40%.
You've spoken about Muslims feeling isolated today, let down, and if I dare to say, reduced to second-rate citizens. The communal harmony, do you think, I mean, it's already ruptured, but do you think the January 22nd celebrations, the way they are going on, may further damage India's pluralism and democracy?
Indeed, there is this air of fear in North India at the moment. So many Muslims have told each other discreetly not to undertake a road trip in UP, don't go near Ayodhya, don't even take a train journey there. And if you're visibly Muslim, that is, you probably wear a hijab or you have a beard and you wear a skull cap, then just avoid going out as far as possible. What kind of atmosphere is that when the country's largest minority fears for its life on the roads of India?
How do you see the future?
Difficult question. All that I feel and hope and pray that the idea of India is revived and we go back to being a society which had its differences, which had its momentary clashes, but at the end of the day, the spirit of tolerance and appreciation of each other's culture prevailed. That is the kind of India we have to endeavor to revive. And in a very small way, we got a little window with the Shaheen Bagh struggle. The way Muslim women came out to protest on the streets of the country, holding the constitution in one hand and the Quran in the other. We want every Indian to do likewise. Hold on to your scriptures in one hand and the constitution in the other. Inshallah, we shall be fine.
Let me explicate the problem further. Like the majoritarian communalism, whenever it rises and is patronized by the state, the minorities will find themselves vulnerable. And of course, there would be
They
examples,
do.
shining
They do.
examples like Shaheen Bagh, the women of Shaheen Bagh, who would hold up the constitution and peacefully struggle, democratically struggle. But a section of them are also pushed towards religious radicalization and extremism. How do you think the minorities should ideally navigate these times?
I'm glad you asked me this because it's very important for every person of a country to feel he belongs here. Unfortunately, the discourse today is a section of citizenry does not feel that it belongs here, that the nation cares for it, and so on and so forth. What is important under the circumstances is to, for the minorities, to improve their economic status, to improve their educational status. The support from the state will be negligible, if at all it will be there. You have to strive on your own. We saw that after 1992 also, and then 2002 also. More and more Muslims started taking to education in a serious way, knowing that if we have to survive with dignity, education is the only way, and we cannot depend on any government, no matter which party forms the government. Having said that, one good thing so far in the Muslim community is, and I hope it stays that way, that element of radicalization has been minimal. You would have seen the mainstream in the Indians from outside Kashmir, Muslims from outside Kashmir in particular, have not fallen for the propaganda of militants there, or even the various bodies sponsored by Pakistan and elsewhere. Muslims have always sided with India on Kashmir. They have not never really risen to the support of militants over there, the terrorists over there. At the same time, they do want a peaceful resolution of the Kashmir problem. They believe if Kashmir is ours, so are Kashmiri brothers and sisters. And as long as that feeling is there, I do feel that gradually over a period of time, not immediately, we'll be able to sort out this feeling of alienation. More so if there is a change of dispensation at the center.
One last question. What expectations do you have from the liberal Indians, particularly from those from the Hindu community?
The same as they would have from anybody else. We all have to speak up. This is not the time to keep quiet. You have to speak up for the soul of India. And you have to speak up if you believe that you belong here and you care for the country. It's as simple as that. Keeping quiet today is like facilitating fastest cars.
Thank you. These are indeed very dark times, as you have sketched, but the way you talk about thinking and acting rationally and in accordance with constitutional values, it gives me hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you.